Hey man, how are you?
Hi, Sid. How are you doing?
Great man. It's been a bit of a eventful end of this weekend. I know that not was the weekend, but end of yeah, it was a bit unusual for that test match to be cancelled, but we'll get to that portion at the end. So, what are your thoughts on the New Zealand losing to Bangladesh 3-2 in the T20 series in a nutshell?
Yeah, I mean, before we get to the cricket, it's been quite an eventful week. Uh, and, yesterday I actually lost one of our, you know, very close family friends. And, he was he was my driving mentor when I first,
Sorry, man.
went for driving lessons and stuff. And then, my sister also got her license with him. So, very close family friend. And, it came as a shock to us. So, I just
Mm.
wanted to have a few moments of silence, just in his, memory. I mean, you haven't met him, but I just wanted to have this
Oh, yeah.
few more moments of silence, and then we can go on. Okay, thank you.
Sure, man. Yeah, so yeah, man. Sorry about your, yeah, my condolences. And now back to the cricket now. Your thoughts on the Bangladesh 3-2 over New Zealand? I guess in hindsight, it was expected, but I was hoping it would have really gone to the real decider because by the time we went to the decider, Bangladesh had already won the series.
Yeah, I mean, you just ushered my sentiments. It's been a very eventful week of cricket and very interesting series. 3-2, and honestly, I think to New Zealand's credit, I mean, they came in with an inexperienced side, but I felt they applied
Mm.
themselves quite well. Definitely. I mean, they should be no, I mean, there should be no shame in losing 3-2. In foreign conditions, let's be
Yeah,
honest, and some of these players have gone to Bangladesh for the first time. So,
yeah.
very challenging sort of surface to first, get your first gig in. And
Mm.
I thought it was a very close series, to be honest with you. Some of those games, I mean, were very very close affairs, and it always almost went down to the last over or the second last over. And New Zealand, the last two the games that they did win, they really really won them quite comfortably. So I
Yeah.
really think New Zealand's side, I mean, they're literally a B team, really performed quite admirably on this tour, and they
Me
actually applied
too.
themselves better than
Yeah, yeah.
they
Yeah,
applied
I mean,
themselves better than the
yeah, yeah, they're a street smart team. Yeah, they apply their minds compared to other
Yeah,
teams.
true. I think they make the best of the resources, whatever they have in their arsenal. They really make the best out of it, and they're a side that never gives in. They fighters, they fighters on the field, and especially
Yeah,
limited overs, they really really there's always that tag in New Zealand cricket because I mean the dark horse, but I feel they're a little bit more than dark horses.
yeah,
They're quite an established team, and they're one of the dangerous teams in international cricket. So I think they're
yeah,
much more than dark horse.
yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. Brad Hogg, in his YouTube channel, he put New Zealand as one of his semi-final contenders. Do you concur with that for the T20 World Cup?
Absolutely, I'll tell you why. Because they do have specialist T20 players in their side. Uh, I mean, these players are playing in top leagues all around the world, and a lot of these players you might be familiar with them in the IPL. So
Mm,
they're a
mm,
side that's rich with specialists, and they do have a lot of experience in this format, as opposed to some other teams that are going into the tournament a little bit inexperienced, like the Proteas and
mm,
some other sides, Sri Lanka, that are just like probably in a transition sort of
mm.
phase at the moment. Whereas New Zealand, they've been playing together for a while, so There's a lot of experienced players in that setup in
Mm.
T20 cricket. So yeah, why not? I mean, semi-finals is well within their grasp. I mean, they are in quite a difficult group, but I mean,
Mm.
I guess
Mm.
if it would be, I mean, no surprise if they had to get out of that group. I would think they're playing better T20 cricket than the Australians, no doubt. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I would say that match against the Aussies as well. I think they're in the Aussies group, eh? If I'm not
Yeah, I
mistaken.
think I think
Oh,
we're in the group of death. I think we're in the hardest group because I think India and Pakistan are the more in the easier group, from what I
oh, is
could
it New
remember.
Zealand, India, and Pakistan's group, eh?
No, 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 no. I know Brad Hogg was saying that he expected India and Pakistan to go through in their group, and then the other group, I think he had mentioned New Zealand and England to get through in that group. So that was my
Uh,
understanding.
New Zealand and England. Yeah, very interesting, eh? I mean,
I'll have
I
to
wonder
look
to
at those.
see. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I have to view those groups, but I think New Zealand are in Group B by any chance, with
yeah,
India and Pakistan. I think they're in
yeah.
that group, so that's quite a challenging group in its own, on its own, because I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a powerhouse like India, and then you've got Pakistan that have so much T20
Hmm.
experience. Uh,
Yeah, I think Pakistan's played in the UAE quite a bit. That's why Brad Hogg fancies them. Otherwise, Pakistan, they're more like dark horses, or you could say more like unpredictable horses. But we
no, I think
can try and,
I would say they are probably unpredictable. You're not sure what you're going to get with Pakistan sometimes, but they do have talent. It's just about consistency at the end of the day with Pakistan cricket. Uh, they've had a good run this year. To be honest, this has been a good year for them. I know they had a richer tour of New Zealand, but I mean,
mm,
thereafter, it's
mm,
just been rise and rise for Pakistan cricket. So, I mean, 2021
yeah,
has been good to them, hey? It's been a good year for
yeah,
Pakistan cricket.
yeah. Okay, so let's get to our South Africa. They lost the ODI series, but they won yesterday's T20 match against Sri Lanka. I know they're playing the best of three. So, what were your thoughts on the ODI series? I thought in that last ODI, I thought that we didn't apply ourselves. With a total of 200, we should have just been trying to hit twos and the odd boundary, getting singles. I don't know what's up with the ODIs. Teams playing ODIs, everyone wants to bash the ball for some reason. No one wants to take the twos, the ones, and then they hit the odd boundary, especially for these low totals. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough being a Protea fan at the moment. I mean, it's a sort of an up and down curve. One game they up, and the next game they down. It's sort of like a
Yeah.
seesaw thing at the moment. The Protea, the consistency seems to be a problem. But I got a different view on this. I think selection really cost us this game big time. I'll tell you why. I mean, you backed a guy like Petluquayo. I mean, Petluquayo has done well for us in the past, but I mean, to be honest with you, his form at the moment is a lot to be desired. I mean, bowling, he's not offering much, and even with the bat as well. I mean, if you're going to be having Petluquayo at number 7, and which is such an important position, uh, it makes your tail quite long, and we had a very long tail in that game because we had Mulder at number 6. And I think Vian Mulder, I mean, although he's proven himself in domestic cricket, he's still relatively newer to international. And I think to throw him in that sort of game, and the shuffling of the batting lineup was not good, I think. And uh, to be honest with you, a guy like Pretorius can be really felt hard done here because I felt he deserved a spot in this team. And I think in terms of all rounders, I think Dwayne Pretorius is the best batting all rounder in the setup
Mm.
with the likes of Petru Mulder. Mulder, I mean, I consider him more for bowling all rounder at the moment. I think his bowling has been quite impressive. He still has to prove himself with the bat. Petlukayo, I mean, as I say, a lot to be desired. His batting has really, really gone down the rails. I mean, I do know he had COVID last year and he was in and out of the side, but I think the Proteas they should have made a harsh call there. At the end of the day, when you select a team, you're not going to please everybody. You can't please
Mm.
everybody. At the end of the day, you got to pick the best combination. And I think Petluquayo in the side, it's really, I think it's really hurting this ODI side at the moment. You know, Pretorius, I mean, he's had good performance. When Pretorius has always been given the national call-up, he's always performed. And, you know, I go back to 2019 when he made his test debut against England. And that first test in Centurion, I think he was pivotal in helping the Proteas win that first test because, I mean, he made crucial runs down the order and he took wickets as well. So, I mean, he's such a handy cricketer, and his batting is great, man, down the order. And yeah, I mean, they just lost the plot of the selection there. And you know, this thing of spin, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we're very good when playing players that, you know, coming up against bowlers that we've seen before and we've analysed, but it always seems to be this problem where there's a new bowler that comes in, you know, and we seem to be found wanting in the spin department, and we were found wanting again on a slow wicket. And what also disappointed me was we were losing wickets to the seamer, Chamira, and I would think that was a bowler that we probably wanted to get away. You know, we wanted to cash in against, and we couldn't, and we were losing wickets. And it just never got going. It's very, very disappointing in a way because I think the bowlers really put their hand up there.
Yeah, and also our run rate wasn't that bad actually. Our run rate wasn't
no,
that
it wasn't.
bad. We just batted out the over. We could have,
That was a frustrating thing, and I think, you know, really Mark Boucher has really got to come into question here with regards to his selection. I mean, omitting Pretorius, I mean, not giving the guy a single game. I mean, the entire series, I mean, he just sat on the bench carrying drinks, and I think that was disappointing. You know, a valuable player, a player of his experience, and has got much more experience in international cricket at the moment than Vian Mulder, and to pick him ahead of Mulder was quite a bizarre selection. I mean, I do know we won the second one, and that was thanks largely to Milan's innings, because I think if Milan didn't come off in that game, we would have been in a bit of trouble as well. So credit to Milan in that game, but it's just a consistency at the moment. And, you know, the ODI record at the moment is not very pretty, and I think the overall record is not very pretty at the moment. Ever since Boucher, you know, came into the setup, and I've been critical of him, you know, in the past, especially after the Pakistan series. And I mean, we had a good tour of the West Indies, but you know, patience is actually running out at the moment. And I think, you know, you probably got to give him till the World Cup, and then you decide thereafter. I mean, who really is he the right one for the job to steer the Proteas into the future, or we get, you know, we change it around and get somebody with a better reputation. But the record, you know, it's not very impressive at the moment. Hey, seems to be battling for consistency in this team, and I think the one thing that you really can build a winning team around is consistency in selection. So if you have consistency in selection, that goes a long way. So, I mean, you got to back players. I do think that the bowling has improved quite a bit, no doubt about it. And I was very impressed with the spinners, and especially Kesh. I mean, he was wonderful in that series. Very, very impressive with his bowling and his captaincy as well. But I think, you know, the batters let him down big time in the third ODI, definitely.
Yeah, I think it was more of an application issue because with a total like that, just hit your 2, the ones, then the odd boundary. You don't need to go bash.
I mean, look, Sid, 203 is a total that you would expect to chase. I mean, that's a total that back in the 90s teams were chasing, and it only becomes a difficult task when you start to not apply yourself, which is what you just said. I mean, if application becomes such a problem with the entire order, and I think, you know, we've had these situations, man, where we've had this collapse, you know, where we lose 1-2 wickets, and so quick it becomes 3 or 4, and that lets us down big time. So I think these batting collapses, it still needs to be addressed in the setup, and I think we need to be a little bit more street smart when it comes to playing spin as well.
Okay, now I think to our final portion. I don't know if we discussed the fourth test, but that was quite a test match. The bowling was awesome by India. I was happy to see them winning that. What were your thoughts going into that final day? Did you think it was going to be a draw, or did you expect India to win it?
Well, I mean, looking at it, there were only two results that were possible on that last day. It was probably a draw and an India win. I don't think England at the moment, if you're looking at the batting lineup is not confident at all. Uh, we can see that there's quite a few holes at the moment.
Hmm.
I mean, if Root doesn't make runs, there seems to be a big hole there, and it goes back to saying, Stokes has really been a loss for them. But
Hmm.
take nothing away from India. They've been brilliant with the ball, and when Bumrah managed to reverse that ball in the second session, I mean, the writing was on the wall. Let's face it, there was no way back for England. But I think England will be really disappointed. They really didn't apply themselves in that game. It was pretty close. I mean, after both innings, but I think India just really took the game away from them in that third innings when they scored that 400 plus, and it was really downhill from England after that. It was really difficult for them to win that game, and 345 in the fourth innings is no mean feat. That really takes some sort of Herculean effort from the batsman to chase that down, and especially on a wicket that was deteriorating. Day five, it's probably the worst time to be chasing a score, and yeah, I mean they had no answers to the reverse swing from Bumrah, and that spell after
Hmm.
lunch from India.
I honestly thought that it could have potentially been a draw because the pitch was really flat. And then I think today the bowling to the rough probably helped out in terms of getting the ball all roughed up and then the pacemen could do their thing. But my thing is I don't think the English used their spinners enough in that fourth innings. They were just too dependent on the paces and even the commentator that complained about it. So I think something to learn, I guess, for them in the future.
Well, I think they really missed a trick there because I think there was a brilliant spinner that was actually missing in their lineup. Sorry, apologies. Yeah, I was saying that
But
they really missed a trick. They probably could have played Leach on that wicket because that wicket was taking turn as well. And
hmm,
obviously Ali he couldn't get that same sort of purchase as a guy like Leach or probably Best would have got. So yeah, I mean
hmm,
disappointed that England really didn't play their best bowlers. I would say for the conditions in the series, they would be disappointed in that regards, and they'd be disappointed in their batting. I think their batting only really came good in one Test match, which was the third Test match, and obviously there was one more Test to be played, and we all disappointed that that Test match has been cancelled. And yeah, it would have been
yes.
interesting to see what the result would have been because I think England would have probably came back quite hard in that Test match.
Hmm, hmm,
What happened to them in the fourth Test? So I mean, it is what it is at the moment. We're living in difficult conditions, situations.
hmm.
It's a difficult time in the world at the moment, and yeah, I mean the Indian, you know, medical staff was obviously affected by this,
Yeah.
by, by by COVID-19, and obviously Ravi Shastri as well. He also tested positive for COVID-19, and that really took the entire squad into a bit of disarray at the moment, where they couldn't feel the side. And
Hmm.
look, I mean, looking at the cricket calendar at the moment, I don't think it's going to be possible to really actually, even be able to, reschedule that test match because the calendar is like so, cramped up at the moment with, the IPL and then
I
you've got the
think they're
T20
planning
World
for
Cup.
next year. I think they're planning it for next year, actually. I think when England to England again for the ODI, I think they'll maybe do a bit of switching there. There'll always be a way around it, especially when India's involved.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but with regards to the series now, I don't think it's been called as a result. Am I right by that?
Yeah, nothing
It hasn't
really.
been called.
I know. England is trying to get a forfeiture because so that they can get insurance payout. But I know that with the BCCI, they will not like it. So we'll have to wait and see on that front because it's a bit crazy. And then, yeah, and I think you are right. New Zealand are in that group of India and Pakistan. So I don't know how that format's going to work now for that T20 World Cup. I don't know how many teams go through in every group now because. Yeah, it's very confusing. Yeah, like
That's true. Look, New Zealand are in quite a difficult group. Let's be honest. Uh, India and Pakistan. Phew, I mean, you've got two Asian powerhouses there, and I mean, New Zealand are street smart. So, look,
yeah,
I wouldn't really write them off.
yeah, yeah, I get that, but I don't know how many teams go through in every group. That's what makes it a very confusing situation. Yeah, unless if it's three teams going through in those groups, then I would definitely see those three teams somehow going through. That's why I'm trying to look at all the matches here on all the schedules quickly, so that it makes any sense. I think we're in the group with the West Indies, so yeah, we're in quite a tricky group.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got Australia, England, and the West Indies. But look, it's a World Cup, and you probably are going to play against the best. So
Yeah,
I think a team like West Indies, we all know that they are a tournament side, but
yeah.
uh, you know, I think the Proteas T20 results of late have been better than the ODI record. So I think that's the next segment that we can go into, which was yesterday's T20 match.
Oh, shame it. Did we not talk about that at the beginning? Oh, sorry about that. Oh no, I think at the beginning we spoke about Bangladesh. Oh, yeah, my bad. I think yeah. I was happy we actually won that T20 match, despite the fact that we dropped five catches. A bit embarrassing. Or was it six catches? Between that, that's pretty bad. We can't do that in a World Cup match, that's for sure.
I think it was a disciplined bowling performance from the Proteas.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think once Keshav
Despite,
got into the attack, I
mm,
mean, a first ball a wicket in his first ball in T20 cricket, that was amazing. And I thought the way he
mm.
led the side yesterday was brilliant.
Yeah,
I think they really choked the Sri Lankan team in the chase. They were very very tight, and there were a lot of
yeah,
dot balls. So dot balls really obviously builds pressure. But getting
yeah.
towards the batting, those 160 score is probably becoming a very talked about score for the Proteas
Useful.
in T20s, and
Yeah.
there've been a lot of 160 scores of late. So
Yeah.
although I'm happy and I can see the way that this pattern is going, because it seems like the Proteas are actually better when they set a score, and they can defend a score. But when it comes to chasing, that's when the problems actually arises. So although they won, I think the next game is going to be a cracker as well. So
Hmm.
uh, I was happy with the win, but I would like to see this team probably, try and push a score towards 170, 180, or,
Yeah.
win a game chasing. That's what I want to see,
Yeah.
win a game chasing, because that's where the pressure is. So, I mean, in a World Cup situation, you're not sure what you're going to get. So, I mean, if
Hmm.
you can chase a score down, that would be marvelous as well. So, uh,
Yeah.
it would be nice to see this team chasing a score down, and
Especially
it'll be nice to see how they handle the pressure.
especially if we can chase well against, for example, against Australia. I think our confidence will be very high if we can beat Australia at the beginning of the World Cup, chase well. Yeah, because anything can happen in a World Cup. You beat Australia, and that's a big boost, and then you then can hopefully beat West Indies. I know that's kind of asking a lot, but then yeah, anything can happen. So, hmm.
I would actually give them much more of a chance against the West Indies. I would give them more of a chance against the West Indies because they have played the West Indies quite well. of
Yeah, but those
recent. So
pictures were
uh,
not really that
I,
great. So yeah.
I would think the side that probably does have
Mhm.
our number at the moment, and the side that we probably got to improve against is England. So that's
Oh,
going to be a bit
yeah,
of a
yeah,
crunch game. So uh,
yeah.
looking at the group, I think you've got two qualifiers that you probably want to target wins against, and you've got the
Yeah.
likes of, as you said, you probably got to beat you probably got to beat two of those three. So yeah, Australia game is going to be big, and the West Indies, and I mean, if you can beat England, that would be a bonus as well. So uh, you
Mm.
know, uh, the way I look at it at the moment, I think the chances are not that dire at the moment. There is still some hope.
Mm.
It all depends on team selection, I would feel, but definitely I would like to see Pretorius in every single game in that World Cup because I think his batting
Oh,
is
okay.
valuable down the order.
Yeah.
Pretorius, and I mean
I didn't. Oh, so we actually made the T20 squad. I didn't look at the squad properly.
yeah, I mean some obviously some experienced faces in that squad. I mean you've got the likes of Miller, you've got Quinn de Kock that's back, and you've got Ngidi as well. But I was quite happy that they obviously picked Pretorius in the side and Keshav as well as the third spinning option, and then you've got Linda as well, who I rate very highly. I think Linda is quite he's a very handy cricketer, and in his short spell, he's really proved himself at national level with the bat and ball. He's been very accurate with his bowling, and he's going to be a weapon in the World Cup, as will Shamsi and Keshav. So I think spin is going to play a big role in that World Cup for the Proteas.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at those qualifiers, and I'm amazed to see a team like Sri Lanka being there. They got Ireland, Netherlands, and Namibia, and then you got another Group B where you got Bangladesh, Scotland. Who would have thought you'd ever see Sri Lanka ever in a qualifier group? Sad times, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sri Lanka probably have fallen out of the top eight, so that's obviously been a reason why they've actually gone to a qualifier. But I still expect Sri Lanka to actually get through it there and get into those
Yeah.
groups. You know, barring some sort of catastrophe, but I would think Sri Lanka would probably, with their experience, they'd get into that the group phase of the World Cup. So that's really really going to be important for them. First step. So I mean, the Proteas are playing in Sri Lanka at the moment. So I do feel that this is quite an important tour because it's on the subcontinent and there's going to be similar conditions that's going to be presented in the World Cup. So I think the more they can actually win in these conditions, the more confidence that's going to give them leading up into the World Cup.
Yeah, man. I'm just trying to understand all these formulas because I think the way that Brad Hogg has done his prediction, it doesn't make sense because if you're having two teams that are going to qualify from the teams of think I think it's teams of how many teams are there in general? I think if you have the two teams from the qualifiers, I think it's about 8 teams in total in each group, isn't it? Unless I'm miscalculating it. But either way, I don't think. Oh,
So I
yeah.
just I find out again what was Hogg's four teams for the semifinals. Well, who did he
Uh,
predict?
You predicted England, New Zealand, and then India and Pakistan, but I just don't think those 3 teams are possible because you can't have New Zealand getting through as well. Because if you have 2 teams only going through, you'd have to either have India and Pakistan or either have India and New Zealand, even though India and New Zealand
No,
seem more.
I think he's
Yeah,
really messed up his predictions there, Sid, because I mean he picked
yeah, yeah, yeah,
B team
yeah,
Group
yeah,
B. So uh,
yeah,
what's going
yeah,
to
yeah.
go through? It's either going to be India or Pakistan that's actually going to
Yeah.
fall off. So that's really, really going to be interesting. And I think India and Pakistan should not take New Zealand lightly at all in
They
this group.
wouldn't. And
They
plus, New
wouldn't.
Zealand have India's number in World Cups, by the way. New Zealand have India's number in World Cups, so that's not going to be
Yes,
an easy match.
absolutely. That's true.
And
Hey, that's true. And, I mean, the Kiwis are
hmm,
a tournament side as well. I mean, they rise to the occasion in tournaments. So, I mean, you really, really can't write them off. You've got three sides in that group, which is very interesting. There actually are tournament sides, which is India,
hmm,
Pakistan, and New
New
Zealand. That
Zealand,
actually
yeah.
always rise above all in tournaments. So
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting. And if I had to make a pick there, I would say if I had to make a prediction, and go against Hogg now, because I mean his prediction was actually out of sorts there and
Yeah.
incorrect as well.
Yeah.
I would say New Zealand and India are probably good to get out of that group
Yeah.
if
Hmm,
you're on the basis of form and as
yeah.
consistency as a whole. But I mean
Hmm,
Pakistan, as you said, they played in those conditions, so you can't really write them off. The
hmm,
only issue I have with Pakistan cricket is consistency. That's what they lack.
yeah.
They're a very good
Yeah.
side
But I think
on the day,
but I
but
think they play, but I think they play well against New Zealand and Pakistan. So I think they would probably be doing India a favor should they beat New Zealand. But then that also depends on how well India play during. If India beats Pakistan and beats with due respect, the lower teams, then I think it should be pretty much a simple thing there.
get him
But
over.
I think,
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah,
yeah,
I think looking at both groups, I think the Proteas are in a probably more of a challenging group. To be honest with you,
hmm. Yeah, they call like the
um,
group of death for some reason.
looking at those at the moment, Australia not good at the moment. Really, really out of sorts in T20 cricket.
Yeah, but
But
Australia are more like a confidence team. If they start winning early on, even if they're against the lower teams, your confidence builds, and then once you start beating one
that's
of the
true.
main
True.
teams, yeah. But
But
I think
I would think West Indies and England would probably fancy their chances
England
against
are the
Australia
favorite. Yeah,
at the moment. So
I feel like
that would probably give the Proteas a chance against the West Indies because I feel that's a crucial game for the Proteas in that group. The West Indies, if they can beat the
yeah,
Windies, so I think they probably have a very, very good chance of getting out of that group somehow.
mm, mm,
And then it requires either a big performance against England or Australia. And judging by what I
mm,
see at the moment, I think Australia are probably a team
mm.
that they can fancy their chances against because they've been found wanting against England at the moment. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, everything is possible at the moment. But
mm,
I think two of the strongest teams in that group is probably the England and the West Indies in terms of experience, uh, you know, and coming, rising to the occasion. So
yeah,
I would put SA as a wild card in that group. To be honest with you, I would put them as a wild card team
yeah.
that they really can upset the odds there and get out of the group. But it's going to take a big performance against Australia or England. But I think they're well capable of beating the West Indies in that group. But let's see how it goes. Very, very interesting.
Call me unpatriotic, but I see England and West Indies as the main favorites for that group. I just
No,
think West
absolutely.
Indies.
That's why I mentioned that England and West Indies are probably the two of the strongest sides in that group at the moment. But
Mm,
I think if the Proteas can get a good string of results going, that
yeah,
would
yeah.
actually boost their confidence. So
Mm,
uh,
mm,
it's all hamper on either the Australia or the England game. If the Proteas either win one of
yeah,
those games, including the Windies game,
yeah.
so they would probably book
Mm,
their spot in the semis. And anything
mm,
after that is a bonus. I think if the Proteas can make the semifinals, that would be quite an achievement on its own at the moment with the side
yeah.
in transition. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
On a final note, like, who would you want for us to play in the semifinals? Because if you have either India or New Zealand, it's like you can't really pick who you'd want between the two because India's had our number in World Cups, even New Zealand's had our number. So hey, you'll just have to get
Uh,
over it and just
Look, think I would think they'd rather play New Zealand, and I'll tell you why. I think
Oh
New
yeah,
Zealand are
okay.
probably more able side than India, where India are probably do have a lot of tricks in their bowling lineup. Where New
Hmm.
Zealand, they've got good spinners, but they probably play as a whole. Where India have a lot of match winners that can really take the game away from you. So I think the Proteas
Hmm.
will probably win India very early in this tournament. If they play them in the final, well, so be it. I mean, that's going to be an amazing game on its own. That's a chance to break the trophy hoodoo. But I would think they'd rather
Hmm.
play New Zealand in the semi-finals, and I think
Yeah.
the T20 record against New Zealand is quite impressive uh,
Yeah.
in World Cup. So I would think they'd prefer to play New Zealand at the moment than probably picking India. But for that to happen, they probably have to top the group,
Hmm.
possibly. So
Hmm.
it's going to be nerve wracking. The T20 is nerve wracking cricket. I mean, every
Yeah.
ball has the possibility of doing something and changing,
Hmm.
the outcome of the game. So, uh, I can't wait. I think the Proteas have picked their best side possible for the tournament.
Hmm.
Um, I guess there's always going to be there's going to be a few players that would feel disappointed as to not making it. A guy like Magala, um,
Hmm.
that probably deserved a few more chances at international cricket, but I think he would get his
Yeah.
chance eventually. But I
Hmm.
think they picked the best possible in terms of who played the most this year around, and the sort of squad that has been getting results recently. So
Yeah.
consistency in selection is very, very important. So
Yeah.
on that on that sort of topic, I think they probably pick their best side possible at the moment, given the players
Hmm.
that they have at their disposal.
Hmm. Okay, I think that's pretty much a wrap, and we will catch up soon. I think the IPL is going to be coming next week, I think. So, yeah,
Yes,
check
yes,
you
that's
then.
correct. Yeah, it's going to be a bumper cricket calendar the next couple of months. So yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, man. Check you.
Cheers, man. Cheers.